Today's topic is what I would tell my younger self about losing weight. Yeah, shit. Should I make a list? I don't know. We're just gonna roll with it. Okay, so I was walking, as one does, and I was thinking, what would I tell my younger self about weight loss? Because this whole weight loss thing, if you've watched my past videos, all started when I was young in high school, and I decided that I was fat. And I was 150 pounds, and I decided the boys didn't talk to me and didn't like me because I was fat, and I would lose weight, and I would try. And also my mother would tell stories about how like her ideal weight was like 130 pounds. So it's like, oh, well, oh shit. Shit, I'm 150 pounds. I better lose some weight because I'm fat. So, 150 pounds was the weight that started it all. So I pretty easily lost 10 pounds and got down to 140, but I always wanted to get to 130, and it was always a struggle. And I always was starving myself to get there. I wasn't, doing it in a healthful way. So, but I didn't know anything, I mean, this was the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, and I lived in a small town, we were fairly remote. There was no internet. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Somewhere along the way, my folks had bought a book on calorie counting or something, and so I kind of looked at that, and I bought another book on the thermic effect of food, and so I was trying to eat foods that would, at least the theory of the book was, eat foods that burn off more calories processing them, like your body burns more calories trying to process them than there was in the food. I remember apples was a big one. I mean, this was all, it could have been crackpot shit, I don't know. But it was all stuff from back in the day. So I really had no idea how to lose weight. I knew that if I ate less, that would make me lose weight. But I never once thought to myself, because I'm a dumbass, and, like now looking back, I'm like, why did I ever think this? When I never thought about sustainability. I never thought about, okay, because I think it's a common mistake. You think that you're going to restrict your calories and you're going to lose 10 pounds and then go right back to doing what you were doing, and then you gain weight. And I don't think people think about this, where it's like, okay, well, if what I was doing, I was at this weight and I lost 10 pounds by restricting calories or whatever, I need to continue restricting those calories forever, for the rest of my life, unless I want to gain weight again. And so I think I would go back in time, if I could go back in time, and advise myself about, okay, any change you make, you're going to have to keep doing that for the rest of your life. And I think the other thing I would tell myself, and I would include exercise. So because there were times that I would like walk my ass off to try and lose weight, but that would be like 1 or 2 days, and then I'd be like, oh, I got to do all this other stuff, and I wouldn't walk, And so I think I would tell myself, look, you have to do this every day for the rest of your freaking life. You exercise-wise, food-wise. And I think the other thing I would tell myself is about satiety. And actually, I kind of learned this thing from reading that Health at Every Size book, which someday I'm going to do a video on, reviewing it, about this whole thinking about satiety, thinking about, okay, what food is satiating? Which foods will keep me filled up for the longest amount of time. And I actually kind of did an analysis on my breakfast foods of like, okay, well, if I eat this, then I'm hungry 2 hours later. If I eat this, I'm not hungry for another 4 hours. If I eat this, or, which I encourage people to do your science project on this. So yeah, if you're like, hey, I'm eating a Cookie Crisp this morning. Let's see when I get hungry, you know? And I'm using that example because, hello, yes, your girl did eat some Cookie Crisp. My favorite, though, was the Reese's Puffs cereal. And, I didn't know not to eat sugar for breakfast. My mom didn't say that I couldn't. I don't know why my mom allowed me to eat sugar for breakfast, but she didn't say anything about it. So, yeah. But anyway, and I don't know, maybe she just didn't know. She was a home ec major, so I don't know why she wouldn't be like, what are you doing? I'm going to prepare you a nice breakfast. Or maybe she was just tired and like, whatever, eat whatever you wanted to. I don't know. But yeah, I would eat not one serving, because if you've ever looked at one serving of cereal, it's like a freaking handful. It's like, really? This is one serving? All y'all are fucking lying on that. Because the serving sizes are based on what people say, not what you should eat. So, moving right along. So I wouldn't eat one serving. Oh no. I ate between 4 and 6 servings of cereal before school. And then I'd go to school. And I don't remember being hungry, but I know if I did that now, like if I eat Raisin Bran or something, because my husband likes that, and once in a while I'll be like, I want a bowl of that. I know I'm hungry like in an hour. Like it is not satiating for me at all. But if I eat oatmeal, I put peanut butter in it, that is satiating. And I put powdered peanut butter. I have PB Fit, or you can use PB2, and I put that in it. So I can use more peanut butter than last time, Coach Greg. So I would talk to myself about satiating, like satiety, And of course, I wanted to roll out of bed at the last possible second. So I think I would have probably been like, hard boil up some eggs, even though you don't really like eggs that much. You'll discover it's the yolk part you don't like that much, but the egg whites are okay. So just hard boil up some eggs and eat those before school. You can eat them on the way to the bus. You can eat them at the bus stop, So there you go. You don't even have to sit there and do breakfast. I think I would tell myself, eat bacon, well, not eat bacon, but, eat things like, eat ham steaks. I don't know if protein shake was a thing, and there's probably no way I would have gotten protein shake where I lived, but, talk to myself about, trying to come up with some more satiating foods for breakfast than just Puffs or Reese's Puffs or whatever that cereal was called, or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That was another one I loved. And I would also tell myself to learn to cook. Just be like, literally, your mom's a home ec major. Learn to cook. Because I think that was my biggest problem, is I didn't ever really learn to cook. Like I could kind of cook, but it wasn't, I didn't really cook well. Like, I don't know how to describe what I mean. Or maybe I was too fearful of cooking things. I don't know. Because when I moved in with my husband, my now husband, then boyfriend, I never cooked for him. We ended up just like basically going out to fast food every night. And that's when I really started packing on the pounds. Is that we went to fast food. And of course, he was a stick person. So he was 112 pounds when I met him at like 6 feet. So he was, like I said, his stick person. So, I mean, it didn't hurt him to friggin', eat a little extra calories and stuff like that. But for me, it sure did. I started packing on the pounds. My mom was like, yeah, you're getting a little chubby. By this time I stopped listening to her when she said that kind of stuff, because she said that stuff to me all the time, even when, like, now, knowing what I know now, looking back at that, I was like, I wasn't fat. Maybe I was a little chunky, but I was still within a healthy weight range. I was physically active. I didn't have a bad diet necessarily. I mean, I did have bad things, like the cereal, but usually my lunch and my dinners were fairly nutritious, wholesome meals, as my mom cooked and made all that stuff, so I don't really know why she never made me breakfast. Maybe I told her I didn't want her to or something. Maybe I was trying to be independent or something. But yeah, that would be my next thing, is learn to cook. Actually learn to cook. I hated cooking too, which is funny. I would bake cookies and bake crap all the time. I was like, I didn't want to cook things on the stove. And it's like, dude, I could have just baked things, like now if I'm not sending my husband out to grill stuff, I just bake it in the oven, like I bake my tuna steaks if my husband doesn't feel like grilling, or I'll bake some asparagus, or, or I can steam it, I mean, my mom was of the era where you boiled everything, all the vegetables and stuff. So, of course, all the nutrition got washed down the sink. But yeah, I think that would be the other one, would be learn to cook. I would also tell myself, treat sugar. Well, back then I wouldn't know what this means, but now I do. Treat sugar like you would alcohol. Treat it sparingly. I mean, back then I don't think I ever even drank. So, because I'm talking to myself when I was in high school kind of thing. But I would definitely, be like, hey, slow down on the sugary stuff. Learn to cook. That's a huge one. I'm probably going to repeat that like 5 more times about that. Start reading nutrition labels. Pay attention to what a serving size is. Use a measuring cup. Measure stuff out. I mean, really at that age, I probably didn't need to do all of those things. But I think it would have been handy information for me to have. In order to, once I got out on my own and I started packing on the pounds, to maybe, kind of keep from ballooning up to 250 pounds. That was my heaviest recorded weight, was 250 pounds. And I'm 5'5". So I'd like to be 5'6". I lie and say I'm 5'6", but I'm really 5'5". I perhaps have shrunk. But, and another thing I would tell myself is, just for the sake of my curiosity, is like, how active was I? Like, I can remember like doing a lot of physical activity and stuff like that, but I would be very curious to see, maybe I would send myself back with like a pedometer and be like, here, wear this for a day and see how active you are. And then just be like, okay, well, when you become an adult and you become less active, you're going to start gaining weight. You're going to get a secretarial spread, because I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem with my weight until I moved out of the country into the big city and became sedentary, because I got like secretarial jobs and, I didn't know how to cook. I ate fast food all the time, and that's where I started packing on the pounds. I wouldn't necessarily say that I had like any sort of emotional problem, but maybe, I don't think you get to be morbidly obese without having some kind of problem. So I don't know. But I do think a lot of it also is conditioning and stuff that I've learned, which I wish I hadn't learned, like every time I leave the house, I go somewhere and I get food. And that was something I started doing recently, was when, I would go with my husband, we would, have to go run errands, and it'd be like, oh, we're going to Tractor Supply. Cool. They have old-fashioned candies there that I like. So I buy a candy there. And then it'd be like, oh, we need to stop and get gas. Oh, okay. So I go in there and I'd buy, a coffee and a candy bar or something, and then it would be like, oh, okay, well, we're going home, awesome. And then I'd eat like something I had stashed at home kind of thing. So I was getting right back into the cycle of eating every time I stopped somewhere, like I did when I lived in the valley. Like when I lived in the city, every time we stopped, I got food. And so I started doing that on the weekends. And that's when I talk about my weekend eating as being out of control, was every time we stopped somewhere, I would get something. And I didn't even realize that that was what was going on until I was like, until the moment that the cashier was asking me for my, my discount card or whatever, and I couldn't even hear her. I'm just like so laser focused on, do I want a Payday? Do I want M&Ms? Do I want Reese's? And that's my downfall. Those kind of candies are my downfall. So that was kind of a meandering video on what I would tell my younger self if I could go back in time. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something, and I will see you in the next video. Air hugs. I am out.